Hello, welcome to the Lesson 17 case study for 7410 Installing and Configuring Windows Server 2012 R2. So in this case study, we're actually dealing with Bill, the network administrator, who actually now has a growing user base to his network. There are lots of new users on his network, hundreds of new users that have actually migrated over from Contoso's acquisition. And with these new users, you have users accessing current network resources like file servers, application servers, and printers. Bill, luckily, has a feature that he can take advantage of in Windows Server 2012 R2, and that's the audit policy feature. So he can use Windows Server 2012 R2 to put an audit policy on the network so he can watch these users and their access to resources on the network. And the reason why he'd want to do that, he can actually use it to determine whether or not users are taking advantage of resources on the network. So for example, what I mean by taking advantage, I mean of it in a good way or even in a bad way. The good way means that if you have a high-powered, high-quality, quick, efficient printer in a department and that's being used consistently to be productive by department employees, then that printer should remain in that department. If it's not really being used, you may want to move that printer to a different department, and that can be determined by seeing how often users actually access that printer once an audit policy has been put on those users to that printer. Now, you can also use an audit policy to determine if users are abusing privileges. So for example, if there's one user who is using the high-powered printer on high-speed printer dozens of times throughout the day, and it seems a little bit suspicious that he's using that printer, you may want to go to the user's manager and just kind of, inquire what's going on with this user. And this is if there's really a gross abuse or it kind of shows that there's a gross abuse of that printer. Another thing you can do, you can also audit how often users log into their computers, what they're doing on their computers, which applications they're accessing. And, this can give you a little, a better picture of what's actually going on in your network as far as user resource access goes. And this can help you plan your network resources, like I mentioned earlier, and it can also really look for network abuse. And hopefully there wouldn't be any malicious intent that users may have, but you can also audit and provide reports to determine, God forbid, that there's also malicious intent going on by your users.